Hello, good morning students. Today, being our first teaching class of BioGoogle, I will go through the third unit of our biology, that is cell structure and function. Means the basic structural and functional unit of life. In that unit, we have three main chapters for our discussion. First chapter being cell, the unit of life. Means in this chapter, we will go in detail about the complete structure of cell. What is the structure of cell? What are the components of the cell? What is the function of the cell? And what are those chemicals present in the cell? Okay, that we will discuss in the chapter cell, the unit of life. In the subsequent chapter, the next chapter, we will discuss about the biomolecules. We have two terms here, bio and molecules. Molecules, all you should know in chemistry, that some of the elements, some of the compounds, but those compounds present inside the cell, inside the living organism, that we call them as biomolecules, that is chemicals present inside the body of the living organism. So we refer to as biomolecules. Okay. We discuss about proteins, we discuss about carbohydrates, we discuss about nucleic acids, we discuss about fats and lipids, etc. in the chapter biomolecules. Along with that, we will also discuss about some of the enzymes, means the chemicals which enhance the rate of reaction. Okay, we will discuss those chemicals, biochemicals, biomolecules in the chapter biomolecules. Lastly, in this unit, we will discuss about the cell cycle and cell division. It means what are the changes taking place in the life of the cell. Means from one division to the next division. It may be, the division may be mitotic division or meiotic division. But there are several changes during the life of that cell, particular cell, any cell, plant cell or animal cell. We will discuss about the changes that in cell cycle and cell division, mitosis as well as meiosis. Okay. So all these three chapters we will discuss in detail in these units. Okay. First, let us start with our first chapter in this unit, that is chapter number 8, cell, the unit of life. Okay. Let us remove the other two chapters for now. We will discuss about the cell, the unit of life. Okay. Our main chapter of this unit, cell, the unit of life. Then the question arises. The main question is, what is cell? What is cell? So when we go to physics, the cell sometimes mean to battery. When we come to electronics, cell means our phone. But here the cell in living organisms is, we can define the cell as structural, that is basic, structural and functional unit of life. Here cell can be defined as the basic, structural and functional unit of life. Here we have two main terms to understand, structural as well as functional unit of life, living organisms. Okay, let us understand why the cell is called structural unit, why the cell is called functional unit. We should understand the two terms. Okay, here any organism, it must have a structure. It must have a structure. Here, every organism, the structure of every organism is made up of the cell. Structure of every organism is made up of the cell. Then, how can we correlate that term into our organism? Let us go in a sequence, reverse sequence. Mainly we go with the organism. Organism. For example, human being, ourselves, human body. But our body is made up of many of the parts like respiratory system, digestive system, circulatory system. So here the organism is made up of many organ systems. Organism is made of many organ systems like respiratory system, digestive system, circulatory system, excretory system, reproductive system, etc. Then what are these organ systems made of? Then the question is, organ systems are made of many organs. Organ systems are made of many organs. Then what are these organs? Like mouth, tongue, trachea, esophagus, stomach, intestines, like that. There are some organs. These organs are made of tissues. Organs are made of tissues. Lastly, the cells make the tissues. That is, the tissues are made of cells. Tissues are made of cells. Okay, so we have got the meaning of structural unit. Means structure of every organism is made of cells. That is why cell is called structural unit of life. Just because the structure of every organism, plant body, animal body is made of cells. That is why it is called as a structural unit of life. Then how functional unit of life? We should understand that why the cell is called a functional unit of life. Let us name some of the functions of our body like locomotion, some other functions like digestion, that is breakdown of the food, some other functions like breathing, that is we intake in oxygen, give out carbon dioxide, then circulation of blood, circulation of blood. So here all these functions are performed by some of the organ systems. Some of the organ systems. For example, locomotion is performed by skeletal system. Skeletal system. Digestion is performed by digestive system. Then breathing is performed by the respiratory system. Lastly, circulation is performed by circulatory system. So all these are the organ systems. All these are the organ systems which are made up of organs. They are made up of tissues. They are made up of cells. That is why again cell is the functional unit of life. Right? So this is the actual meaning of the cell. Actual definition of the cell. Again we will see cell is basic, compulsory, a simple unit. But it is a structural unit because every organ is made up of the structures like tissues and all others. Then functional means all the functions of the body are performed by the organ systems which are made up of ultimately the cells. That is why cell is known as the structural and functional unit of life. Okay, I think the definition of the cell is very much clear for now. Okay, we will discuss all those in detail in further classes. Okay, right. So now I will see the overview of the cell. It means what are the components of the cell. So in today's class, we will discuss about the overview of the cell. Okay, overview means just what are the components present in the cell and the brief structure of those components. Okay, now we will see the overview of the cell. Overview of cell. So, to start with, the cell must contain the boundary. Cell boundary, that is, there are two different boundaries for the cell. One is cell membrane and cell wall. It means for a particular cell, it may be a plant cell or animal cell, the layer must be the cell membrane. Then outside the cell membrane, in plant cell, there is another layer called as a cell wall. There is another layer which is nothing but the cell wall. Right. These are the two different cell boundaries. Remember, here the cell wall is present only in plant cells. The cell wall is absent in animals. This is the main difference between a plant cell and an animal cell. That is, cell wall is present only in a plant cell, absent in an animal cell. Right. So, this is the basic thing which is needed to be a cell. Then, what is the second thing present in cell is nucleus. It means, for example, our college has a principal who coordinates every activities. Like that, the cell has a nucleus that controls all the activities of the cell. That controls all the activities of the cell. That controlling center of the cell is called as the nucleus. Nucleus, which is responsible for all the activities of the cell. That's why it is called as a controlling center, the major center of the cell. Right. Then the next component of the cell is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm. Here, whatever the liquid, fluid present inside the cell, that we refer to as a cytoplasm. Cytoplasm. But all these three alone cannot make all those functions, because the organism requires a wide range of activities, wide range of functions. In such cases, the cell has many of the smaller parts, smaller structures known as cell organelles. Cell organelles. Let us name some of the organelles. Here, one is mitochondria, chloroplast, etc. Better we label in the diagram. So, here on the nucleus there is a membranous structure that we call it as a endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum. And towards the outer side of the endoplasmic reticulum, there is another cell organelle, which is known as a Golgi body. Which is known as a Golgi body. Then, to perform photosynthesis in plant cell, there is an important organelle. There is an important organelle which is known as chloroplast. Which is known as a chloroplast, right? That performs photosynthesis in plants, right? Then for the breakdown of the food, breakdown of the glucose, there is another organelle in plant cell as well as animal cell, that is mitochondria. Another organelle called as mitochondria. And we need some of the biomolecules like proteins, and for the synthesis of those proteins we need a special cell inclusion that is called as a ribosome. They are present on the endoplasmic reticulum. The ribosomes are present on the endoplasmic reticulum. And in cells there are some small parts, small organelles which are known as lysosomes, which are also called as suicidal bags. We will discuss about this in detail while we are discussing about the lysosome in detail in further classes. Okay, for just lysosome of the organelle which is responsible for removal of some of the waste, some of the dead organelles of the cell. Right. So, these are the basic components present inside the cell, either a plant cell or an animal cell. But you should remember that the cell wall is present only in a plant cell. Cell wall is present only in a plant cell and absent in an animal cell. Right. This is the brief overview of the cell. Right. So, in the further classes, we will discuss about the cell theory, and we will discuss in detail about the structure and function of the cell wall, structure and function of the cell membrane, and we discuss some of the organelles together in the name of endomembrane system. The structure and function of some of the organelles in the name of endomembrane system. We also discuss the structure and function of mitochondria, structure and function of chloroplast, structure and function of nucleus and chromosomes, etc. Lastly, we discuss the functions of the cell in general at the end of this chapter. Hope you understood with the present concepts, just the introduction to the chapter, that is cell, the unit of life. Okay. So, in the next class we will see the concept cell theory. Cell theory, and we also discuss about the cell wall. Right. So, till that, keep learning. If you have any confusions, any doubts regarding the today's class, please comment over the video so that we can be able to reach you by the respective answers for your questions. Thank you one and all. Jai Hind.